Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mr. Hicks Podcast. We're here getting it in once again, time and time again. We are back. We have been away for a little while for technical reasons, i.e. my phone bricked. And then you thought to yourself, like, well, everybody's got a cell phone, so why didn't you use somebody else's? It's because iPhones are racist. I don't know if you've ever seen the difference between the camera of a Android phone and of an iPhone.
Yeah.
And we tried it.
Yeah. So what happened is I looked like I was his color and he looked like midnight.
I look like Kota Kinte. That is the blackest I have ever looked. iPhones are racist. Yeah. They just take you black and make you like blackety black. Everybody looks like Wesley Snipes on an iPhone. Everybody is like the darkest you've ever been in your life. No, there's nothing wrong with being black, but it's like, you know, but if you're not that black, like I was teeth and eyeballs for like the entire
just the floating
floating eyeballs for the entire video. So so now I've got the phone back and we're back up doing what we love doing, talking these sports. We're big lovers of college football, and we were actually going to do like an audio only show last Friday. And I was like, yo, let's look at the games and let's try to just do like an audio only, because you could also find some of our shows on Spotify. And there wasn't but like one game the whole weekend.
Yeah, we're like, man, this is gonna suck.
Like, yeah. There was not I was looking at these games, it was like, this should be literally just a bunch of dudes.
Bunch of top teams blowing out non-ranked teams, you know.
Yeah, it should have looked like damn near a date rape. It should have been looking like a bunch of uncomfortable situations where you saw somebody talking to a girl and it was getting a little uncomfortable. You're like, hey man, I don't think you should be treating her like that. So hey, Michigan, could you stop doing that to Illinois? I don't think that's looking kind of rapey. I think you should stop. But that's I know. Sorry.
I don't know where that just went.
I don't know. Well, you haven't been to college yet. You're gonna have to make that call eventually, or somebody's gonna be doing something. And be like, that looks suspect. You have to grab your teammate and be like, hey man, we say we go back to the room. I think you've had a little too many. Let's not go any further with this. So yeah, it's coming. You know, but I will leave in you to make good calls in that situation.
Okay.
So, and then what ended up happening was there ended up being a lot of good games, a lot of close games, a couple of upsets, a couple of very like I can't even believe this is a games.
Yeah. And
which ended up giving us a lot of great content. This is the great thing about college football, is that even when it looks like these games are going to be trash, somebody lays an egg, has a bad game, there's an injury, something like that, and then you end up with what we got this weekend. So let's start with Ohio State, Maryland. Now, those of you who actually watch this game, you will know that it was like 33-30 Ohio State in the fourth quarter, with Maryland having the ball, able to they was getting ready to drive down the field to score. The final score really is not indicative of how close this game was.
Right.
Let's look up on the usual suspects here. Travion Henderson, one of the best running backs in college football. However, I don't think he did. What kind of a game did he have?
So he got hurt in this game. He started off, not a great performance. We're talking 11 carries for a grand total of 19 yards. Not good. Okay. And then he got hurt. And then Dallin Hayden, the freshman, he was a 4-star, I believe, last year. He was a true freshman at Ohio State. He comes in, has the game of his career, puts the team on his back. Okay, we're talking 27 carries, 146 yards, and 3 touchdowns. For a guy that you were expecting to like maybe fill the role, he absolutely killed it. C.J. Stroud, he had an okay performance. We're talking 241 yards, 1 touchdown.
An okay performance for him.
Yeah.
Like for somebody who throws 3-4 a weekend, like for you to come in at like 241 against Maryland, that don't look so hot. But however, Talia Tonga Vailoa, Tua's little brother, had the game of his life. Couple quarterbacks had the game of their life this weekend. So what we got for him?
So he was 26 to 36, 293 yards and 2 touchdowns. The running game wasn't much of anything. I mean, their best rusher had 40 yards. If you look at the stats, it doesn't really tell the story of how efficient their offense was moving, other than Tualia's or whatever his first name is. I'm not even going to try to butcher that. You know what I'm saying? Tua's younger brother's
Talia.
stats, Yeah.
Like Aaliyah with a T.
Mm.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
So it was like so like big shout out to them. Like the place was rocking. It was really looking like they were going to do the thing. Because Maryland has never beaten Ohio State ever. Now they haven't been in the conference that long, and you wouldn't. It's actually not too surprising that Maryland's never beaten Ohio State, but they've gotten close a few times. And I'm just thinking what this would have done for that program would have been just absolutely electric. There've been a few moments like that in college football, like when Tennessee beat Alabama and when LSU beat Alabama.
And if you really break it down and think about it, how astonishing it is for a team like Maryland to even be close to an Ohio State. Like, if you think about it, Ohio State, they're usually top 5 in recruiting every year. Maryland's definitely not, right? So the talent gap is there. Like, the fact that Ohio State was able to be like, oh, we just lost our 5-star running back, you know what I'm saying, Travion Henderson, he's out for the rest of the game. Let me just get my 4-star out. He'll have 150 yards and 3 touchdowns off the bench. That's recruiting. Yeah. To me, all Ohio State did was out-recruit Maryland.
They out-recruited them, and it showed up. Like, if you did not have the not only, like, we understand that you're going to have an amazing starter. We got that. Right. But the fact that you didn't only have an amazing starter, you had an amazing backup, and you have an amazing backup to him. Right. Like, so when you can have Jackson Smith and Jigba, who had like the greatest Rose Bowl performance at wide receiver ever, go out like week 1, week 2, ain't seen them all year, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. is having having an amazing year. Yeah. Might win the Biletnikoff Award, and then Emeka Egbuka is also killing it right behind him. Right. Julian Fleming is doing neither of those things, but he is also there.
He's on the team,
on the roster. And for those of you who don't know, we have never really been a big fan of that young man's play. Like, I'm sure he's very nice. I'm sure his mother loves him very much. But as far as like, we never, thought that he was that dude, and we have some kind of inside information from when he was recruited that will tell us from some very good corners who played when they played 7-on-7. They were like, he's really not that dude. And then he got to Ohio State and was not that dude. Right. So that is what it is. Concerns going into the big game. Actually, let's go to the Michigan-Illinois game. And then we'll talk about the game this weekend, the big Ohio State-Michigan game, and some of the ramifications from what we saw this weekend.
Okay, we're gonna start off the red. Scott Blake Corum, he's amazing, right? He went out, and offense was not the same. They had to rely on J.J. McCarthy. I'm sorry, Deborah.
Not even like something with a J in it, like a Judy McCarthy.
And so basically, the reason that I call him Deborah. Is because he throws footballs like a slut. And Debbie is the sluttiest name that I could come up with. So they put the game on Debbie's shoulders, and he absolutely stunk it up. Okay, it was an atrocious performance. And I don't think there'd be no Ohio State with nothing they got going over there.
Poor Deborah. Oh, my God. Oh, okay, so... this is the thing, like this with Corum being on. Corum is a monster. Corum was like one of the top vote probably in Vegas is one of the highest percentage getters to maybe get the Heisman this year. And he actually tried to come back in the game and try to do the thing and could not. He just physically couldn't go.
And their backup running back was also out. So, they really had to put it on Debbie's shoulders, and Debbie did not deliver. Chase Brown had another great performance. He's been killing it all year on the ground. He had 29 carries for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he was most of their offense because their quarterback basically did jack squat. We're talking 178 yards, 0 touchdowns,
Yeah, when you're a transfer from Rutgers, starting for another Big Ten team, good for him for getting another Big Ten job. That pretty much meant that people thought that Rutgers was not that, and then like if we get him into our system, that he will be a lot better. He has not been, but good for him for finding another job.
Yeah, and so as far as the ramifications for the big game, right? Michigan versus Ohio State. I got Ohio State in a landslide. Just because
Landslide.
yeah, it's not going to be that close. We're talking double digits. Okay. That's what I got on it. That's what I think. And because I don't, especially if Blake Corum doesn't play and their backup running back doesn't play, that's their whole offense.
Because Deborah will not be carrying the team.
Not against Ohio State. He couldn't carry the team against 7-4 Illinois.
So, Deborah has very small shoulders, very narrow shoulders. So she's not going to be able to carry the team.
Nope.
Yes. And the crazy thing is Ohio State could be missing their top wide receiver and their top running back, and it will not matter a lick.
Won't.
They will still manage to I know it's the game. I understand that you can just quote unquote throw out the records, throw out the stats when this game happens. I don't think so this year. I really don't.
The thing is, they're Ohio State defensively, their weakness is the secondary, and you can't take advantage of that at all.
Yeah,
because you got Debbie under center. So
and that's the crazy thing is they have a weakness, you just can't exploit it.
No. So I don't, I know it just says a rivalry, throw the record books out. You know what I'm saying? I got Ohio State smacking Michigan. What do you think?
Okay, I am of the same thinking. Ohio State's defense is not particularly impressive this year. They're young. They've got some nice guys, nice pieces on the defensive line, but they're like really turnover reliant, and I don't think that is really sustainable. Especially when you're talking about going into the playoffs, which they'll win this game. They're gonna win the Big Ten, and or they're gonna go to the Big Ten championship and slap whoever comes out of the West. It will most likely still manage to be Iowa. I don't know how, but it's still Iowa will score
6.5 points.
Will score 1.5 points.
Yeah.
And it won't be a touchdown either. It'll be like two safeties, a field goal, and the sale of Pepsi at the concession stand.
And the ref felt bad, so he's like, "Yeah, give him like 2 points.
Give him like 2 for something." So that's what's going to happen. But then they're going to go into the playoffs, and then like if they run into somebody who could throw the ball, they're going to have problems.
Right.
So so let's move on to USC UCLA. So. Caleb Williams is a freaking monster. Just give people an idea of what your boy Caleb Williams did.
So he was slinging it. I mean, we're talking 43 attempts, which is like it's a lot. 32 for 43, so really efficient. 470 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he had the 1 interception, but that didn't end up costing him in the game. Speaking of interceptions, Dorian Thompson-Robinson on the other side.
Oh,
He had a really good game, except for like giving the ball to the other team.
Yeah. Other than that,
309 yards, 4 touchdowns, and then you kind of had to think like, he threw the ball to the other team 3 times, and that's what ended up costing him the game in the end. The running back.
But think about that, like the game was 48-45, and he threw 3 interceptions. Yeah. So if he doesn't throw just one more of those picks, they could have won this game. Right. For you to be that close to USC, a team that is that good offensively, and apparently this is a defensive averse football game. Like there was ridiculous team totals.
Who needs them? Am I right?
Was that?
I said defense. Who needs them? Am I right?
So there just wasn't a whole lot of defense played here. If he'd have just not thrown the picks, everybody knows it. USC's defense was just not going to be ready. Like Lincoln Riley's amazing. Brings over.
The thing is, like Dorian Thompson-Robinson, 309 yards. Like if you take away his interceptions, right, and just look at the rest of his stats, 309 yards, 4 touchdowns passing.
Right.
On the ground. 81 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Oh my God!
This dude was killing it.
He had 6 total touchdowns.
Yeah,
Jesus.
and then he threw the ball.
And then the 3 turnovers. Team. Yeah. So, you just can't turn the ball over. Other than that, you look at those numbers and you're like, dude, he had a monster game. But there's no such thing as having a monster game with 3 picks. You just can't do that. So Jordan Addison also went off at wide receiver. That's a big number.
11 receptions, 178 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, so
He brought him in. He was Blitnikoff winner last year, and he's doing exactly what we thought he would be doing.
Mm-hmm.
The running back for USC, what's his name? Austin Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He had 21 carries for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back for UCLA had 19 carries, 95 yards, and 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, so it's just, again, the Pac-12 just out there. Apparently the SEC is back to being the only league that plays any damn defense.
Yep.
I mean, now mind you, Michigan's defense, people don't realize Michigan's defense, I think, is number 1 in total defense in the country. And the crazy thing is that whole game was like strength on strength with them in Illinois, because Illinois has like the number 2 defense in the country. So it was a team that plays great defense and runs the ball well was playing against a team that plays good defense and runs the ball well. That was basically like 2 fighters just getting into the middle of the ring and just throwing haymakers at each other. We're just gonna try to knock each other out here. Ain't no jabs, ain't no other. We're just gonna I think I'm tougher than you, and we're gonna do it. So good. So good for Illinois for really stepping up and doing that. But I'm like, when the bullets start flying, man, this was a amazing. I think it was 4 total turnovers by UCLA in this game, in a game that was a 3-point game. So it's like, so good for Chip Kelly. It looks like UCLA's got some actual life going forward.
Yeah.
Also, Caleb Williams is right. I think he's number 4 in passing yards in the country. Go to the go over here to the college football stats. So scroll up. Yeah, technical difficulty. So give us a second. Go to national. All right, so you should be able to find passing offense. Oh, and that's the teams. Go back. Just passing. All right, so there's your numbers there for what just happened. Okay, Austin B. Caleb Williams.
6. Caleb
Williams is number 6 in the country, and where's he at with touchdowns? 33 touchdowns and 3 picks. That's what he's doing right now. That is pretty much disgusting. Michael Penix, the freaking transfer quarterback from Indiana, from Indiana, is leading the nation in passing for University of Washington. Mm-hmm. And I know you didn't know that because he plays for the University of Washington. Mm-hmm. So it's just sad that he's out here killing it. And you hear nothing about him for Heisman. Only 20, probably because he only has 26 picks. To say that somebody only has 26 touchdowns, to say somebody only has 26 touchdowns tells you right there the type of season that's going on. Like dudes on the regular are putting up like there's like 33. Caleb Williams has 33.
We can also talk about how Drake May is going stupid. Yeah. And in his freshman year, this man, 3,614 yards, 34 touchdowns and 4 interceptions on a passer rating of 173. Jesus Christ.
Yards per game, 328.5 yards a game for a freshman. Jeez. For a true freshman. Oh my God. It's like that he should get invited to the Heisman on that alone. Just the fact that he put up those type of numbers as a freshman. All right, so let's move right along. I remember the next day, I had no interest in even watching this game, the Tennessee-South Carolina game, because Tennessee should rightly have won this game by 1,000 points. Yes, by 1,000 points they should have won this game. Yeah. So you get up on Sunday morning and told me...
Tennessee lost to South Carolina. Not only did they lose to South Carolina beat them 63-38. It wasn't close.
The fact that they won the game at all, this should have been like a field storming. We won this game by like a field goal at the very end. Everybody stormed the field like, oh my God, everybody's going to get laid in South Carolina.
Well, they still did, but
they probably still did. But like the 63 points.
And Spencer Rattler put up you can only do this in Madden, folks. You can't actually do this in real life. Spencer Rattler, 30 completions on 37 attempts, which is stupid. Especially on 438 yards and 6 touchdowns.
That is insane efficiency, and he threw 6.
No interceptions.
That's crazy.
He had 7 incompletions, 6 touchdowns.
He had one more incompletion than he had touchdowns. Spencer Rattler, by the way.
Yeah.
You did hear that correctly. Spencer Rattler did this. And when he said that Spencer Rattler is transferring to South Carolina, yawn. Like nobody, you can live, when you hear that, I believe a tumbleweed, you're just required to go after you said that. Spencer Rattler transferred to USC. USC, like University of Southern California? No, University of South Carolina. That's the sound of the clock ticking in the background. But it's like, so moving right along.
Yeah.
But that's how little anybody cared that Spencer Rattler went to South Carolina. So it's just good for them. This is just real. And by the way, I think Hendon Hooker, Hendon Hooker on a Heisman roll and is now out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. Shout out to him.
Yeah. And
hope was great recovery for him. He's probably going to go first round now, based on a fantastic season.
Of course, he's going first round.
Definitely. For having what was just an amazing season. How do the receivers do?
So Antoine Wells, who had 11 receptions for 177 yards, absolutely lit it up.
Great first name though.
A lot of guys with like 2 receptions for 78 yards, which is like
this is like I'm looking at the numbers here. It's like 2 catches, 2 catches, 5 catches, 1 catch, 2 catches, 2 catches. That's
a crazy stat line though.
I'm sorry.
2 catches for 2 touchdowns and 78 yards. So 2 like 35-yard bombs.
And apparently Spencer Rattler caught a pass.
Apparently he did.
Looking down the list, and it's like one. So basically, everybody caught a pass. Like everybody, they just emptied the bench, all the receivers, all the tight ends, and then they were like, you know what, Spencer? It wouldn't be fair to not let you catch one too.
Hey, we already put up 50. Hey, you want a touchdown? Come on.
Guy that was out there selling beer got a touchdown. So all right. So like just real quick, North Carolina managed to lose to Georgia Tech. What the actual fuck, North Carolina? You had one loss, and you could have gone into the ACC championship game with a chance to beat Clemson and make yourself maybe not make the Final Four, but be that 5th or 6th team, and would have really been a great, like you would have made it a New Year's Six bowl. And it just would have been, I mean, it's a great story. And because Drake May is absolutely killing it, you might still make a New Year's Six bowl.
Drake May on North Carolina is like having a Lamborghini and living in the projects. It's just like you have this great thing and everything else is just
hot as some garbage. It's like I've got my my Maserati and my Ferrari up to my trailer park. Like this is why did you do this? You can't take advantage of any of this. You really can't. But actually he individually is doing it. Somebody's got to catch those passes. I don't know who. I don't know if he's spreading it out because I'm not hearing about any North Carolina wide receivers really carrying it up. But good for Georgia Tech, who is actually showing a pulse when they really should not be. When they fired their coach. And they are also still Georgia Tech. So the fact that they've got 2 wins, they got 2 more wins since the coach got fired than before he got fired. So congratulations to them for actually showing a pulse. TCU managed to struggle with Baylor. They win the game. Max Duggan, I think he's 24-35 or a touchdown. Also had 50 rushing yards and a touch. TCU just manages to win. They
had to like sprint their kicker out on the last like 3 seconds, and then he went out there and nailed it. I thought they were gonna lose.
Because it was like they had no timeouts. They go down the field, boom, boom, 2 passes. They have to run. They have no timeouts, so they have to run. To get everybody off, they have to run their field goal kicker unit on, set up, get set. It was amazing. And the funny thing was, the coach at the end, they were like, "Oh, how did you feel you were going to do it?" He was like, "No, we were good." He was like, "We do that in practice all the time." So basically, it's like that man. TCU is apparently playing exceptional situational football. If you have a team that can go out and be that efficient in their 2-minute game, that he went out there with full confidence and no sweat, with no timeouts left. And they just smooth went out there, kick straight down the middle, done, deuces. It's like, what just happened? Which is like, what just happened? And like the TCU has been very entertaining. They're not getting a lot of, even though they're the number 4 team in the country. It feels like they are very begrudgingly the number 4 team in the country. And I hope that they win there.
Despite being undefeated.
I really hope that they win the conference and they don't have like a slip up or something like that. I believe Oklahoma beat Oklahoma State. Bad as Oklahoma is this year, they were like, you ain't coming in here.
Oklahoma's like a cool 6-5. Huh?
Yeah, they're like, you ain't coming in here and beating us. I don't give a damn what is going on back here. We will find a way to beat your ass. We're not, you ain't coming in here and doing that. Absolutely not. It was like, so good for them. Georgia over Kentucky. I was like really, it's one of those games where it's like an old school SEC game where it's like, we're beating you by 6 points, but it never really felt like
you had a chance.
It never, even though it was only a 10-point game, it never felt like Kentucky was really that close to winning this game. Like, not even close. It was like, it was like a 12-round fight where the one fighter just won by 1 point every round for 12 rounds.
Well, Stetson was keeping Kentucky in that game. If you put me in there, at least I'm not going to throw an interception. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to hand it off to the running backs, dump it off to the tight ends. You know what I'm saying? Cool. But if you put old Stetson in there and you start trying to throw bombs, okay, he's not that guy.
Yeah, so he was all of 13 of 19 for 116 yards. Yeah. You know how hard it is to complete 13 passes and like to still only like barely get over 100 yards and throw a pick in that case. I mean, I understand that they don't really have a game-breaking wide receiver, but they don't have a quarterback that could take advantage of a game-breaking wide receiver, even if they had one. Right. And mind you, they might be some dudes. And I think this is actually going to be detrimental to Georgia's national championship chances because they're going to get into a situation where they might not. Well, hold on. I will caveat this. I know. See, as soon as I went to say that, I knew you were going to be like, see, I don't think so. That if they get down 2 scores
in this fantasy world you live in,
where Georgia gets scored on. Georgia has been scored on this year. Let's not act like they haven't given up any points.
Georgia goes down 2 touchdowns. What is this fantasy world you live in?
Okay, I'm going to focus on the fact that Stetson freaking Bennett has a chance to win. Stetson freaking Bennett could win 2 national championships.
When is the case in which they're going to go and be like, hey, we are going to have to abort the run and abort dumping it off to the tight ends? They would have to be down at least 2 scores, and it's not happening.
Look here, man. I am going to argue as much as I can about the fact that no.
I know you're holding on hope.
Look here, man. I am not going to have Stetson freaking Bennett win 2 national titles. Stetson Bennett, back-to-back national championships. Good for Georgia, but that's like that. What? I'm trying to think of like what is the comp of like the simplest quarterback,
like Kirk Cousins.
Lucky. That'd be like Kirk Cousins going to the Super Bowl, winning back-to-back Super Bowls against Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the only thing I would feel like the middest quarterback that you can imagine winning 2 national championships. That just goes to show you right there what Georgia's recruiting is. That's how good Georgia's recruiting and development is at basically every other position except
the craziest thing is he's going to come hot off 2 straight national championships and go in like the 5th round.
And go undrafted. I will bet you that he will not know. He might come in as a free agent to hold for the kicker. That's basically what he's going to be, a placeholder. Like you will do this, and then we're just going to catch those. You look like you did good at
All right, so can I take the snaps, coach? I'm like, I actually drafted you to get the coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Your job is to hold this clipboard, and then when you run out there and you catch the ball for the guy and you set it up, you've done that before, right? Like, yeah, it's kind of like when I hand the ball to running backs at Georgia, but into the ground. Yeah, just like that.
Right. Need you to get my coffee too while we're at it, okay? You're not going to be throwing any footballs here.
Matter of fact, it's the last time I want to hear your voice. I want to hear you speak again. That's it freaking better. But I won back-to-back national. I won that. For those of you who don't know that is what we used to call it back in the day, jackrabbit slaps. It's like when somebody just won't stop talking about some bullshit, you just go, and you just keep backhanding them until and then they realize I should probably stop. Jackrabbit slaps for Stetson Bennett when he tries to go in the NFL and bring up the fact that he won a national championship. It might happen. It might happen that Stetson freaking Bennett wins back-to-back national championships.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to say? What are we going to say? Because I think Georgia fans are actually going to be conflicted. I am happy that we won these. I am unhappy that they were won by Stetson Bennett. But then again, another quarterback might look at this and go, we might as well go to Georgia. Anybody can win a national championship with it.
You know?
They got a 4 and a 5-star quarterback behind this dude.
Mm.
They got 2 dudes. I know that. Why? Why even go there? Why?
And they're throwing check down champ out there.
You might as well. Matter of fact, if you were a quarterback and playing, you could get a JV quarterback and put him back there to hand the ball off to those running backs and throw dumps to tight ends.
Yep.
Why bother? Why bother them? Let them all be walk-ons. Let all the Georgia quarterbacks from now on be walk-ons because it doesn't freaking matter. By God, Stetson freaking Bennett won 2 national championships with us. You can too. Why waste the scholarship?
Hey, you play wide receiver. You want to play quarterback? We're just handing it off. I mean, it's just
Might
not
as well.
You know what I'm
Might as
saying?
well. All right, so that was fun. Good show. Glad to be back. Take it easy.